As a church, we have been doing a series of services and sermons on the theme, Be Confident in God. Today's service is on the theme, Be Confident in God's good over evil and God's light over darkness. Today's service is an all-age service, so we hope that there will be something accessible to children and to young people in the service as well as to adults. When I was growing up, I used to love watching the Star Wars films. Still do. These are some of my Star Wars figures that I collected when I was younger. Later on, get your mum and dad or a guardian to email me, minister@penrallt.org, to tell me who they are. If you include your address, I'll send you a well done token gift, something very small. And I know they're very small in the picture, but that makes it more difficult. You'll have to do a screenshot and zoom in or something. And while you're writing to me, why not tell me what you like collecting? Or if you're an older Star Wars fan, why not post a photo of you with your Star Wars figures onto the Facebook page? Anyway, back to the films. I used to love that at the end of every film, there was always a sense that good had triumphed over evil. However, there was a problem as more films were released. Because when they made the first film in 1977, they called it Episode 4. Then they made films 5, Empire, and 6, Return of the Jedi. And then a few years later in 1999, they embarked on a new project to go back and make films 1, 2 and 3. This was a great way of filling in the character development and backstory, but there was a problem. Because for the story to work, film number 3 was going to have a really sad ending. Because it was the tragedy of where the potential hero, Anakin Skywalker, falls into unthinkable evil and becomes the villain, Darth Vader. So film number 3 eventually came. I was 33 years old. I had to go and see it. I was impressed by it as a film and enjoyed parts of it, but I came out feeling really flat. And I had to get home, and as soon as possible, I had to watch film number 6 again, where the story develops and good does triumph over evil. Where Darth Vader is redeemed, becomes Anakin Skywalker again and saves the day. Good triumphs over evil. And in the Christian life, we sometimes feel that there is no triumph of good over evil. We feel overwhelmed. But we get to know the end of the story. We get to look to the end of time, at the end of the Bible, where after a period of turmoil and hardship, heaven comes to earth and God makes all things new. It's like being able to read the end of a novel and the last page while you're still working your way through. Jesus proclaimed that the kingdom of God was near when he walked on earth 2,000 years ago. The victory of good over evil had begun with the coming of Jesus, and a decisive battle was won at the cross. But we are in a time when things are not yet perfect. It's not yet resolved completely. There is still a struggle of God and his goodness and light against evil and darkness. And at this time of year, the country's commercial industry, machine and media turns its focus towards Halloween. How should we as Christians respond to Halloween? At first glance, this seems to be a load of people dressing up as ghouls and monsters to celebrate evil. Why would people want to do that? Some people say, oh, it's not that, it's just a bit of fun. Christians shouldn't make a fuss. Others say Christians shouldn't be involved in Halloween at all. Let's be clear here. The Bible clearly says that we should never be involved in any occult practices. In Deuteronomy 18, we read that no one should be found among you who sacrifices their son or daughter in the fire, practices divination or sorcery, interprets omens, engages in witchcraft, casts spells, or who is a medium or spiritist or consults the dead. Those things are detestable to God. So stay away from those things. They're dangerous. God is greater, but you can be harmed. If you've been involved in those things, you can be healed and forgiven. Jesus has made a way. But nobody is talking, surely, about doing those kind of things, are they? So how do we respond to Halloween? It depends. We would normally be quite happy for our children to play goodies and baddies, cops and robbers. Someone has to play the baddies. And the Bible has plenty of fantasy imagery in it, in the book of Revelation and elsewhere. So using fantasy imagery to tell a story isn't a bad thing to do. The question is, what are we doing and why are we doing it? What are we doing? What are the origins of Halloween? Historians believe that there was a feast in pagan Celtic Britain where they believed that the dead returned on this night to burn crops and play tricks on people. So the people would feast around bonfires to ward off the evil spirits. The Romans also had a feast to commemorate the dead and celebrate fertility with apples, and that was at around this time as well. And Christians decided not to eradicate Halloween, but to transform Halloween. As with Christmas and Easter, which also were originally pagan festivals, the church decided to transform this festival. Halloween is about good and evil. On All Saints' Day, the 1st of November, the church decided to remember all the good works Christians had done over the years. It was a celebration of good. The night before, the eve of All Saints' Day, was called All Hallows' Eve, which then became Halloween. At this time, they recognised that there is evil in the world, and they recognised that, but the strong message was that there is something which overcomes evil. What they were doing was to reenact the battle between good and evil, and to celebrate the good wins through the cross of Jesus Christ. The Bible presents the cross as a victory of good over evil. In Colossians 2 verse 15 we read, "Having disarmed the powers and authorities," that is the spiritual powers of evil and darkness, "he," that is Jesus, "made a public spectacle of them, triumphing over them by the cross." Here's a video to explain more.